Rams and the Lions, Colts and the Texans, Cardinals and the Bills, Vikings, Giants, all the marquee games and more. Welcome everyone to NFL Week 1. I'm Andy, that's Jim, that's Corbin. You guys know we are going through all of your props and all your parlays to get everyone ready to turn a profit, and there is no time to waste. Happy Sunday and happy Week 1, everyone. We always started the show last year with just weather report. It's obviously much more important later on in the season that we get, but we want to be consistent here. Does not look like there's going to be much weather in any games. I guess the only thing maybe Arizona, Buffalo with a little bit of wind, but 15, 20 miles an hour, gusts around 25 miles an hour. Corbin, can I do my little wind rant
You can.
that I
You
always do?
can.
It doesn't matter in football if the wind is 20 miles an hour because they play in these things called stadiums, and the stadiums have walls. And when they show the camera angle of the flag on top of the stadium blowing, just remember they don't play the game up there on top of the stadium where the flag is blowing. They are down inside the stadium. So don't overreact to the wind. Now, once we get to 30 miles an hour, yes, you have my attention. We also go over injury report week 1. Not a whole lot to go over. Jim, I guess Jamar Chase would probably be the big name with a little bit of uncertainty, but I don't really see anything that's jumping off the page here. I think we're pretty good. Corbin, how's your mental space here with Jordan Love?
Oh, I don't know. Just pray. Hope. Maybe not watch the next couple of weeks and just hope he comes back in what is it? The expectant is like 4, 5, 6 weeks. So hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to break down all of your props categories. Corbin's going to do his alternate line. We call it the alt universe. And then Jim, so happy to have him because we're going to really concentrate on the offense and defensive lines. It's super important. And we're finally going to talk a little bit more in depth about those, and we'll give out some sack props as well. If you guys could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, really helps us out. Guys, let's just jump right into the passing props. And we will start with the passing yards over or under. Corbin, I know you're very high on the Texans this year, and the books, they are not giving you any they're not giving you any love on Stroud at 277.5. Big number, but I'm
Yeah,
guessing you still like it.
I like it again, but the line is far too big for me to play. It's one of those where you kind of can't play, like most of the time we talk about, do you rather play the receivers or the quarterback? This is one where I don't feel like you could pick the receivers. So if you like them to have a big passing game, you kind of have to pick Stroud. I don't know if you want me to mention it now, but Stroud passing touchdowns is one of my favorite plays of the week. It's at 1.5. It was juiced to -165 when I last looked at it. So I would put that with one of my old spread pieces that will come to at some point. He had 2 in each of the heads versus the Colts last year. Now obviously has the Stephon Diggs addition, and you could really see his confidence just grow throughout the year. He really finished the year strong. He has so many options, as I just mentioned, in the passing game. Even if they double coverage Diggs, there's still Tank Dell, Nico Collins. There's just so many options. The Colts have a pretty average pass defense. The secondary is poor, and I almost feel like this game could have shootout potential again. So I could quite easily see him going over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Our secondary is not average; it's bad. The Colt secondary is bad. They're young. They don't have a lot of experience, and the other thing that really hurts them is that their defensive line is good. They're tough to run on, but that's why you'll see them. It's interesting because I was almost looking at some of the pass attempts with the Colts, but 35.5. The books are not giving us much to deal with. But yeah, Richardson, I mean, he didn't play a ton last year, but I believe like what he was like the number 1 or 2 quarterback per fantasy points per game based on what he played. So yeah, this has shootout written all over it. So, Jim, can I interest you in Jacoby Brissett? I got to tell you, this is right up my alley. This is right up my alley. This line is so low.
209 passing yards in today's NFL is very low. Very low. You have to believe they're going to be down They're not going to run 3 yards in a cloud of dust with Ramondre Stevenson to make up 17 points. So, I mean, and the other thing you have to think about with Brissett and this offense, I know it's a new regime there, but I have a feeling we're going to see a very similar game plan. Those running backs out in the flat. They have Antonio Gibson there. We know he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I'm actually kind of interested in this Brissett number if he's alive come the third quarter.
Well-
That's the key. We'll get to this offensive line in a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll speak on that.
I love these really, really low totals. I mean, I mean, look at the difference. That's 70
nuts.
yards between Stroud and Brissett. And I know nobody wants to believe in a Jacoby Brissett over, but if you guys followed me last year, you know I love backup quarterbacks coming in when there's no film on them. And that's the other thing. They don't know what the Patriots are going to run. These are wide receivers that we really haven't seen before. So it's gross. It's disgusting. It's really hard to hit submit on a Jacoby Brissett over. But in this game, Joe Burrow with the question marks at that wide receiving core, I would play the Brissett over as opposed to the Burrow over in that game. No question. So Cardinals and Bills, Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. I think these lines are pretty dialed in. Corbin, do you have any opinion on that game quarterback wise?
I don't, as you say, I kind of looked at those numbers. I kind of feel they're in the right spots, but I'm just like, who's Josh Allen really going to throw to outside of Kincaid and Shakir? It's like, I almost look at their receiving core and I'm like, how do they get to 200 and what is it, 243? I'm like, but I wouldn't want to play an under on Josh Allen at the minute. So it's kind of one of those, I'll wait and see for next week how it goes. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks with both those offenses. I want no part. Caleb Williams and Will Levis. I'm of the opinion that Will Levis is very overrated. I would be playing the under on this one. I think the Bears defense is very good. And I actually think the Bears maybe play with a lead a little bit and try and protect Caleb Williams.
Exactly.
I actually kind of like the unders on both these guys. Jim, what do you think?
I would agree with you there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not, I think they're going to protect Caleb. And look, they didn't bring in who they brought in to not run the ball. I mean, they're going to run the ball. That's what Chicago's going to do. They're going to let Caleb have his big explosive plays here and there. But if they get a lead on Tennessee, they're going to run. And, you know, I'm in the camp that I don't think this Tennessee Titans defense is that good. I think they're going to give up a lot of points. I also think they're going to give up a lot of time of possession. And isn't that just the Titans thing too? Again, I know we don't have the same coaching staff, but it seems like Titans games, they just bleed away clock the whole game.
True.
Feels like they play at like 3/4 pace compared to everybody else. So, you know, with them running the ball and taking time off, I can most certainly see the unders on each of them here. It's going to take some big plays for these guys to get up and over those numbers.
Yeah, and I'm not impressed with the Titans receiving core that they're bringing in to this year. DeAndre Hopkins is already banged up. He's on the injury report, and we're not even he hasn't played a second of actual football, and he's already on the injury report. So, thanks everyone for joining us. Just a little reminder: you do not have to play all of these. We will tell you if these are official plays that we bet with our own money. Our plays are available at Wager Talk. Those are our actual official client plays. We like to go through all of these and just talk about them, but just want to make it very clear when we get to a play that we are playing with our actual money, that's an official play. We will tell you. If we don't say this is an official play, this is not something that is on our record or playing there. And we just want to really, really preach good bankroll management. It's week 1. This is a very, very long season. You do not have to go all in on week 1, especially if you had a good or a bad day yesterday. Let's protect the bankroll, practice good bankroll management. We've done a very good job. We're at 151 units for 2024. So we look to continue that in the NFL season. Let's talk Jaguars and Dolphins. Kind of interesting that Corbin, that Tua, I kind of compare some of these guys. Tua's less than Stroud. To me, that's interesting. I would want to play Tua at this number.
Exactly. It's almost, that's where the hype from the offseason comes in. Everyone's obviously talking about the Texans receiving core. Everyone's going and looking for Stroud numbers. Nobody's thinking of Tua and what they've got. I like the number, but again, it's kind of in that range that I don't want to play. I could see them getting up and running the ball with A-Chain. I've got a same game parlay, I think, on that game coming up. So.
All right. Steelers and Falcons. I don't know. I'm not a Kirk Cousins coming off of a major injury, believer. And then you got the Steelers, who I mean, what is it about the Steelers? They don't know who their quarterback is.
They don't know who anybody is.
It's like 4 hours before kickoff of week 1, and they're like, I don't know who's playing quarterback. Do you know who's playing quarterback? So
only guy penciled in is TJ Watt. We know where TJ is going to line up. Other than that, it's all shell game with Tomlin this year.
It's just to me, this is a big time stay away from any quarterback props. Maybe even a lot of skill position players. Panthers and Saints. Again, here we go. It's gross. It's disgusting. Jim, it's under 200 yards. What is the Saints secondary? The best secondary like in the NFL? I don't think so.
No.
I would take Bryce Young if it's under there. We're playing numbers here. I don't know.
Look,
Panthers and Saints. What do you think?
They're bad. They're bad.
Great analysis, Jim.
However, I don't think the Panthers can be as bad as they were last year. Like, there's going to be some kind of a tick up from Bryce Young. Either that or he's just not the guy. I'm not a Bryce Young believer, but I do think he has some talent. So to set him at 200, look, they could be down, and we could see that as those Adam Thielen receptions in garbage time just tick this number up over 200. I don't think they're going to be running the ball on New Orleans by any means. If they're going to do anything, it's going to have to be through the air. Not interested in Derek Carr at all. I've kind of pegged Derek Carr unless I see something. It's just a guy I'm not going to bet on this year unless I really see a good trend. But to give me how else are the Panthers going to move the ball? They're going to have to throw it. They're just
Deontay Johnson is healthy, at least for now. Starting next week, he probably is not. I've had that guy in fantasy football, and it's infuriating. Like, he's on the list of do not. If it was the last round at the last pick and he was still available, I'd be like, you know what? I've got better things to do than deal with Deontay. But for now, he's healthy. So I love these low numbers on these quarterbacks that everyone thinks is bad. All the rules are in favor of offense. So, here's another one. Corbin, Sam Darnold, only 227.5 against the Giants, who are a bottom 3 secondary. Sign me up. 100%.
This is one out of all the ones we've mentioned, this one is the closest I can get to actually playing. I think Darnold's just, again, it's a new player coming into a new situation. I think they're going to air the ball out, give him some confidence. It's a great game to settle him in. Mm-hmm. If you could pick any team to play on the board week 1 to settle in a new quarterback and build his confidence up, I think the Giants would be pretty high up that list. The only question I have, or the only reason I haven't played it yet, is we'll get to it in my best bet. I almost would rather just go Justin Jefferson receiving. I feel like that's who he's going to go to a huge amount of the time. If Jefferson doesn't go over, I don't see Darnold then going over with the other options. So
yeah, I'm stunned when I look at quarterback props. I'm really looking to try to isolate some of the bad secondaries. That's why CJ Stroud is there. But again, you give me Sam Darnold at 227 or CJ Stroud at 277. I would have taken Darnold. He doesn't have that shadow over him. He doesn't have, with McCarthy being out now, he's the guy. He knows it's starting job. His career's been very strange. He's been underwhelming, but he's also had some very weird coaching and offensive coordinator situations, and I think this is his best chance to thrive, and I think he gets a great matchup here. So Broncos and Seahawks. I don't know. Broncos, Jim, I believe in coaching, and I believe that Sean Payton really likes Bo Nix. Do I think he's going to let him air it out a lot? Probably not. But again, we're below 200, so it's got to have my attention here. I just love these low numbers. So that being said, this Broncos wide receiving core is not explosive or exciting at all. I don't know. Bo Nix, Geno Smith, anything striking your fancy here?
I think we're going to see a much improved Seattle defense this year with the head coaching change, the scheme change. We're now going to a 3-4 system. 3-4 systems in the NFL can really confuse rookie quarterbacks. It is a lot harder to know who's coming and who's dropping when you have 4 linebackers. Sometimes they're down, sometimes they're up. They stack them on the left, stack them on the right. So this is going to be different than everything that Bo Nix has seen. And it's still a rookie quarterback going into Seattle opening weekend. This is a real tough ask for Bo Nix. And all the hype around him, he has played well in the preseason, but we've seen seasoned quarterbacks have issues going into Seattle. Now, I do think they can keep this game close, but if they keep this game close, the running game is still going to be alive if we have a close game. So I actually see more work from the running backs in this game on both sides of the ball, more so than the quarterbacks. So I would lean under on both of these.
Raiders and Chargers, I want nothing to do with these guys. Way too many question marks. Corbin, is there much we can do with these guys?
I really love Minshew actually. Until I see a change, I'm just going to keep fading the Chargers pass defense. It's shocking, and maybe they get it together now, but I have to just keep playing it at this total. Again, it's the same point as I mentioned with Darnold. If you're going to bed Minshew in, the Chargers defense is a huge opportunity to get him comfortable with the system, build up his confidence, and let him air it out. It's such a low total. You look, they still have Devontae Adams, and he was unhappy last year. But as an organization, you're going to want to keep him happy, so you're going to have to get him the ball. Him and Jacoby Myers, they have a couple of good tight ends. I quite like Minshew. I've played it myself, but quite small, just because of some of the uncertainties. So.
Jacoby Myers was a great prop player last year. His numbers were
Oh, it
so
was.
low because all the attention was on Adams. We were cashing on Jacoby Myers quite a bit. Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson. I want nothing to do with these two guys today. You've got home Dak versus away Dak, and they are two different people. And then you've got Deshaun Watson, which I have no idea what this Browns offense is going to look like. So, Jim, this is a complete pass for me.
Before we jump on this one, just a thought on that Raiders play. Let's not forget that Joey Bosa is playing with a club.
Oh, that's true.
As well. So if you like, now all you have to worry about is Khalil Mack. Now, he did get 6 sacks against this team last year in one game, but that's kind of an anomaly. Going back to what Corbin was saying, I think that might actually lean us towards the Minshew over. He's going to have way less pressure than dealing with both these guys. As far as Prescott and Washington and Watson, I mean, these are 2 pretender quarterbacks, in my opinion. They both have big contracts that just they don't play up to when the moment counts. I don't know what we're going to get from this Browns team. We know the defense is going to be good. But if we see this Deshaun Watson we saw last year, oh, God, is it going to get ugly quick there. And they are going to run him out of town with pitchforks. That's a lot of money to pay for mediocre to below, quarterback play. Prescott, again, these offenses are in flux a little bit. No Nick Chubb. The running game for Dallas, I don't know what we're going to see from. So I'm kind of out. I'm taking a wait and see approach on the Browns and Dallas right now, and we'll see what they come up with.
It's just it's so funny with Dallas. Like, sorry, Corbin, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like last year in fantasy football drafts, like Tony Pollard, you wanted the number 1 running back in Dallas. Now, like the running backs go to like round 8 or 9 or something. Nobody wants anything to do with this. This Cowboys running game. So I guess they're thinking that Dak is going to throw the ball a lot, but on the road, good Browns defense. I can't get to the window on that. What were you going to say, Corbin?
Deshaun Watson interception. We haven't mentioned it, but he had 4 interceptions in 6 games last year, and the only ones he didn't were against the Cardinals and the Titans, who have horrific passing defenses. Cowboys are really good on defense at getting takeaways and interceptions, and have quite a good actual passing defense. I think they could easily get 1, if not 2, from Deshaun Watson. At -130 seems like a pretty good price to me. So
I like that, Corbin.
It's a good call. Baker Mayfield and Jane Daniels. I like Baker Mayfield. I talked about it on bet on it about how this over 1.5 touchdowns. This is a Washington team that gave up over 1.5 touchdowns in 13 games last year. Baker, believe it or not, threw for 1.5 touchdowns in 12 games last year. He was kind of sneaky good. Evans is healthy. Godwin is, a year removed from his knee injury. And Rachaad White catches passes. I talked about how Rachaad White ran for only 6 touchdowns, but he caught 3. This is a team that doesn't just pound the ball in once they get inside the 10. Great price on the touchdowns. Yards, I don't know if I can get there, but touchdowns on this one? Yeah, absolutely. Jane Daniels, I'm excited to watch him play. I'm actually excited that Washington is going to be have a lot of fun. They could be the fun red zone team this year, where they just cut to Washington. Here's Jane Daniels running for 38 yards. But I like Baker over touchdowns. Jim, anything on these two quarterbacks?
No, I got nothing to add there. I want to see what Daniels. I know he's fast. I know he's mobile, but he's going to make those couple rookie mistakes. With these rookie quarterbacks, they can be as great as they are advertised, but you will make your rookie mistakes. You have to pay your dues in this league. Peyton Manning did it. All the greats have done it when they've come in. Mahomes, he even still has his moments. So you got to pay your dues, and I think Daniels is in for a little bit of a rude awakening. Maybe not this week, but coming up soon, he's going to play some good defenses, and we're going to look to cash them.
The night game, the Rams and the Lions, the over-under is 52. Corbin, my opinion, it's more skill position players that we're looking at props, but these quarterbacks, the books are expecting a complete shootout. Anything you do with the quarterbacks?
No, I don't think so. I don't. No.
All right.
We'll get to the receivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of interesting props that we have this year. We're gonna do at the end here. We're gonna do the new category on DraftKings: players to not score a touchdown.
Yes.
Corbin is so excited about it, and I am absolutely terrified. So we'll talk about that. But I want to do this every week. I want to do these players to throw one touchdown parlay. These were great last year, especially if you just took like the bad quarterbacks, because most of them always like throw one touchdown. So let's just scroll down, Corbin. If you see one that you like to throw a touchdown, just say yes. I'm guessing you want Stroud in there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Percent? No.
No, I'll take the one on Joe Bay though.
No.
You want Burrow?
Yeah, of
All
course I do. Against this team, yeah.
All right. All right, we'll throw Burrow in there. Let's see. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. Any of the yes?
I can't get there on the pass. I actually think the Cardinals can have a huge lot of success in this game. I'll get to how I'm approaching that game, but yeah, not on the passing touchdown.
All right. Levis, Caleb. No, I'm not going there. I'm guessing you want Tua.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We got to have Tua in there. Steelers, Falcons, no chance. Panthers, Saints, no.
I'll take a Sam Darnold.
I will absolutely.
He's got to go for at least
I will
one, right?
absolutely take a Sam Darnold. Broncos, Seahawks, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Browns. We put in a Baker.
Yes, absolutely.
Baker's got to get at least.
So I was going to mention it, but this is the ideal spot where Baker just cooks. Like we homed in on it really well last year, Andy. Yeah. In certain spots, you can make so much money on Baker against poor pass defenses. Maybe not so much this week because the Commanders don't have a particularly good rush defense, but they were a good team. Baker was a good player to get on those kind of week by week basis. So,
I mean, Goff and Stafford. One of them.
Goff. I could take Goff.
Right,
I can't see what
off.
the
All right,
price
so there's your. I don't know why it's not why it's not showing the odds. It's like completely not helpful. I'll try to do it on my phone. But there's your week one quarterbacks to throw one touchdown. That's Stroud.
Lines are moving.
All right, so
everyone's betting the parlay as we're
Burrow,
showing it off.
Darnold, Baker, and Goff all to throw one touchdown. So we'll monitor that, and we'll see how it goes. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the running backs here. And thanks everyone for joining us. If you haven't hit the like button, that would really help us out. Let's talk about some of the rushing props, Texans and Colts. I got nothing for any of these guys. Jim, Corbin, any rushing props in the Texans Colts?
Not for this game.
I'm not interested in this game rushing wise. No.
Patriots and Bengals. Jim, you were interested in Ramondre Stevenson. You interested in receptions here? Or
I was interested in his receptions number at 3.5 actually. Knowing that we think Brissett is going to be running for his life and trying to get the ball out fast, he's just proven time and time again he's captain checkdown in the receiving game. Now, they have Antonio Gibson there. We don't know if he's going to be taking some of these receptions away, but I mean, it's not like Gibson was lighting the world on fire in Washington. So I still think we're going to see Stevenson on third down. So, I mean, what is that, 14.5?
I love this 14.
That's a great number.
Yeah,
great
that's
number.
A good one.
That's 3 receptions for this guy. So if you don't get the 4th, I think he could get this in one screen pass.
One play that we didn't play the other night that I was kicking myself was like Isaiah Pacheco.
Mm,
Like he just if you get this low number, he's out there like so many times that he's just going to get a dump off or
yeah.
two. And we saw him go. We saw him cashes over on one play. I love these numbers at around the 14 and a half. Corbin, we did well. What was it? Was Mixon? We ran with
Mixon.
Mixon.
Singletary, Mixon,
Singletary,
and there
yes.
was another one, but I forgot who.
I love these numbers here on these guys that are they're just going to be out there. And I mean, you don't think Brissett's going to be checking the ball down?
Oh, that's
No,
why
he's-
I love Antonio Gibson. You just mentioned it. I don't know if you want me to hold off
Yeah,
on
go
that
ahead.
one until
No,
we
go ahead. Yeah.
I think you mentioned Brissett. He's just going to check it down, expecting them to be playing from behind. He gives them such a good option in the passing game, and it's such a low total. So I was going over his stats from last year. Now I am aware, before everyone jumps down my throats, that it is a different team. I am aware, but he went over in 9 of the last 10. And I think he can have that same kind of effectiveness. What I really liked when I was looking over his stats is he had quite long receptions. So honestly, we were talking about it. I think he could get this in maybe 1-2 receptions. Like at 12 and a half, I think he's going to have good success with the Patriots. So
Love
This
it.
is interesting. Both running backs for the Patriots set that low. It's an interesting spot.
But they easily could both hit. Like it's not like they have like this dynamic wide receiving core that's gonna light the world on fire. So
Yeah.
can
Arizona
I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I love this next play. This might be one of my favorite on the board. It's James Conner's rush yards. I played it at the start of the week. It was at 50 and a half. It's crept up a little, but I love this game. I mentioned that I expect the Cardinals to have good success here, and I think that all starts from the run game, and I think Connor's going to have huge success. He went over in 4 of the last 5 when they put a good run towards the end of the year. He only didn't versus the Bears, even, and the Bears have great run defense. The Bills are quite average versus the run, and I think this game will be closer. I've seen people thinking the Bills are going to win quite easily, but I think the Cardinals will at least keep it close, and they're at their best when they're running. So James Conner's the guy for me, and that's an official play for me. So.
Nice.
I believe Matt Milano's out for the Bills as well.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. To Corbin's point, that's their best linebacker. So works for that Connor play.
I think there's a chance that James Cook is awesome this year. He was infuriating at times with the coaching staff last year. Like we would have him. There was a couple times where we had him over on his rush attempts, and it'd be like 2nd and 1, and they'd like throw a deep ball. Then it's 3rd and 1, and they'd do this ridiculous like slant, and then they'd punt. He was like, "Why don't you just give James Cook the ball?" I don't understand it. I love his talent. I think this is going to be a big year for him. We'll get to Dalton Kincaid as another guy. Titans and Bears. I want to believe in the Bears running game. I'm just not. I don't know which running back to take, Jim. Is it Swift that you go over? I mean, they have the yards would suggest he's the guy, but couldn't you see 3 running backs from the Bears all rushing for 35 yards?
100%.
Exactly.
100%. I would like the Herbert 27.5 over the Swift 42.5. I think Swift makes more of an impact in the passing game than Herbert will.
Okay.
So he's just so good in space. I can't see them not having a game plan this year with Swift to get him in space on screen passes or out of the backfield. And I think Herbert is going to take more of those in between the tackles straight on runs than they are Swift. Yeah. And they got to keep him healthy. They want to keep Swift healthy. He had a pretty big workload, last year with Philadelphia. He stayed healthy. That was a concern before that. I would try to protect him if it was me.
Andy, I have a question for you. So I
did not draft Tony Pollard in any of my leagues like I did last year.
You love Tony Pollard. No, it was actually just on your Bears bit. So obviously you like them to rush. So I mentioned it a couple of times, and I have one coming up. But Bet365 and a couple of other books do team rushing. So you can get the Bears team rushing yards at 126.5 at the minute.
That sounds about right.
That's pretty. You're going to get some from Caleb too, so that's pretty interesting.
I would love that prop as opposed to trying to pick which.
That's why I was going to say, instead of you trying to pick out which one of these receivers, would you rather just clump it all together and just go for the
Yeah,
the team rush.
yeah,
So
that's a good one. I would like that. So
whilst we mentioned Tony Pollard, that is one that I was looking at. He's just not that good. Like he averages 3 or 4 yards a carry. He doesn't look that quick with a new team. The Bears had the best rush defense last year. Obviously, there's Spears to take away his yards. I
I,
just 44.5 seems like a lot against one of the best rush defenses from last year for me.
it's going to be interesting with Pollard because he has said he was not healthy last year. His leg wasn't fully healthy
It's good
from the
excuses now
break.
to make.
I mean, he definitely looked very slow last year compared to what he looked like the year before. But I will say the decision making he made a lot of times was infuriating. One of my most popular tweets was
Just run into the defender.
I took a screenshot of Tony Pollard like wide open to the end zone. It was like somehow he didn't score here. He like cut it right back into a linebacker. Like you could have walked in there. And it was I thought I was the only one getting killed in my fantasy leagues from Pollard, but no. A lot of people were just like, yeah, this is awful. So yeah, I just can't get there with Pollard. I'm too scarred from last year. Jaguars and Dolphins. I actually am a believer in this Jaguars offense. I kind of like ETN 58.5. I don't think Tank Bigsby is that good. Um, I watched him really blow some plays last year and then not get much playing time. So ETN is a guy. I don't like the rushing and receiving props, but ETN is a guy that I think is probably going to catch most of the passes coming out of there. Um, I I don't know, Corbin. What do you do with Mostert and Achan?
It's one of those where I think it's right. I think 8 Chain is going to take over this year, but until I see it, I can't play it. Like that Mostert number is low, and like he's getting on there with age, and he was so good with touchdowns last year. I'm just going to wait and see. I have 8 Chain on the alt line coming up. That's where I would go with this. So
Steelers and Falcons, Jim. Anything you want? You want anything to do with any of these guys?
Again, this game is just such a we don't know what we're gonna get. Corbin's got to do the next Steelers Falcons one here. See if he can find something. But I've got nothing, man. Maybe Warren at 27.5. I know that Najee is the guy, but they keep saying they're going to get Warren more involved. And if they're down, it can't be Najee. Like if they're serious about winning the game, you have to have Warren in there because of the receiving threat that he is. So if the Steelers go down, this might actually be a really good live number that you could get on Warren. If you see the Steelers going down early and we know they're going to have to pass, I mean, we don't know what this Russell Wilson offense is going to be either. Is Russell going to hold on to the ball for 10 seconds?
Is Russell even going to play?
Is he going to play?
We don't know. We don't know anything. So
it's a
just pass this game and watch and see. It's. I was laughing with this game the other week. It's like Freiermuth, who was like a great darling. He's taking reps with the third team.
He's not
like what happened. Nothing makes sense. So move on.
Last thing on this game, are we going to be kicking ourselves when we didn't take Kirk Cousins under 3.5 coming off of major injury? Is Kirk Cousins really going to take off against the Steelers? I don't know.
And you had to kneel down at the end too.
Kneel downs at the end. I could see Kirk Cousins like 3 rushes for -3 yards because of 3 kneel downs at the end of the first half. I don't know. Hard for me to believe Kirk Cousins is going to run. Panthers and Saints. I actually think Hubbard could be a sneaky play. The books are onto it. 56.5 is a pretty big number. But other than that, I mean, he's the guy. But they drafted the guy who's not even playing. He's on the pup list. So I think Hubbard actually pretty good fantasy play for the first 4 weeks. Maybe in this game, Corbin. Anything?
I have nothing. Hubbard's the obvious one, but again, I think the number's in the right place. So
yeah. Vikings and Giants, Jim. Anything? Any of these guys you like?
Daniel Jones, 27.5. I know there's an injury. I know he could hurt it again, but we've seen this over and over with this guy. If they hang it under 30, he just takes off and runs. He has to. This offensive line is garbage. He's going to run for his life all season and try to stay alive once again. So, I'm not taking anybody else here except that low number on Daniel Jones at 27.5. I could see it being 4 rushes for 35 yards. And the thing that we've seen with Jones is he still has speed that when he does run, they're usually 12, 13, 20-yard clips. They're not those 2 yards and run out of bounds. He's taking off straight down the field. So you could get this in three rushes here.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. Broncos and yes, Corbin.
Before we move on, I just want to go over Ty Chandler, 27.5. This is one that I am leaning towards playing. So obviously we have Aaron Jones on the new team. He's so injury prone that I think they may look to ease him in. Chandler finished the year really strongly. He went over in 6 of their last 8. Concerns with Aaron Jones. And I just love this low total on a backup where I think, again, it could be such a low scoring game, I think, between these two. I think they could try and see what they have with Chandler at various points here at that total.
Broncos and Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, wow, 66.5. So they're expecting big things from them. Javonte Williams at 52.5. Oh, that's an under.
Yeah.
That's a pretty clear under for me. I would look at Jaleel McLaughlin, not in his rushing, but in maybe his receptions or his passing his receiving props. They seem to really like him. I don't know, Jim. Anything? Do you like the under on Javonte? That just seems like a big number against a good defense.
Again, I expect big improvements from the Seattle defense. So I would lean towards under pretty much across the board as far as the Broncos go. That is a pretty low number on McLaughlin. I'm looking at the quarterbacks here a little bit. This 10.5 for Geno Smith. That's not a lot of yards. And if Geno's one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure, throwing wise. So really, if he's just willing to take off and run, he just has to be willing. And I think he gets over this 10.5. I expect Denver's pass rush to be improved. They have a couple good edge defenders. And the Seattle offensive line, especially their tackle game, has come into question a little bit here. So we could see Geno running for his life a little bit to start the season here.
I thought we were done with Alexander Madison. No, he's back. The Raiders and the Chargers. To me, this backfield is the most, I don't want to say the most interesting, but I am very interested to see what they do with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I kind of like J.K. Dobbins 35.5. We know he's not going to be healthy for the entire year. So why not play him when he is healthy? Because he's really good when he is healthy. I'm not going to get to the window on it, but that's how I would lean. Corbin, what do you think?
I will just say that Kenneth Walker was one of my favorite plays of the week. I'm worried about him long term with the backfield split with Charbonnet, but I think he's good here for week 1. Broncos had the 3rd worst rush defense, gave up on average 137 yards. And these are the spots where Walker normally crushed it last year. But I also really love his alt line of 50 yards. I think he hit it in a huge amount of games. So yeah, I'll look at that. With regards to the next game that we were just talking about, again, I spent all week deciding whether I wanted to play Gus Edwards, and it was at 43.5, and it's now moved to 45.5. So I'd probably just about going to stay off it. But I really like what I've read and I've heard coming out of like his camp and some of the interviews that he's done. But what worried me is the coach did a press conference, I think it was this week, where he mentioned just going with whoever has the hot hand. So if he starts off slightly slow and JK comes in and has a good start, you could easily see them just moving all the share over to him. So yeah, I think I'm going to pass on that now.
Of all that's got to be top 3 of my most hated coach cliche. We're just going to go with the hot hand. Well, design some good runs, and then they're both going to have the hot hand. Yes. How good's your offensive line? A lot of that depends on who's got the hot hand. I hate that. You're a head coach of an NFL, and you're just going to whoever's got the hot
caution
hand.
To the wind.
Nice That's coaching. Right. Yeah, it sounds like some of the bad cornermen we've seen in UFC. Jim, just hit him harder. Cowboys and the Browns. Zeke under 31.5. Yes, please. I think it's interesting that Dowdle's a little bit ahead of Zeke. This is a really good. Was a really good defense. Jerome Ford under 50.5. He's not a bell cow running back. He catches passes out of the backfield. I don't know. It's unders or nothing in this one for me, Jim. What do you think?
I would agree. I think that Dowell has a way better shot of getting over 30 than Ezekiel Elliott does. More than what the books are respecting here. It is obviously juiced to the over. So it's probably going to be trending that way. But how many carries is Zeke going to get? Like, how many times are they going to be willing to watch him run into the line and get a yard? Like,
True.
at what point are you just like, all right, Dow, get in?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what we're going to see from Elliott. Just to go back, anybody interested in Justin Herbert under 12.5 with plantar fasciitis?
Oh, that's a great call. I forgot about that. Yeah, the plantar fasciitis. Yeah, I don't know. This Chargers team is just so many unknowns. Like,
Yeah.
who's their wide receiver? Is it, with Josh Palmer is now on the injury
Ugh.
report. So by hook or by crook, they all may have to run because I don't know who they're going to be throwing to. So, Commanders and Buccaneers. Corbin, anything you like in this one, rushing wise?
Yeah, I posted this play in the Discord yesterday, but the Commanders under 118 and a half rush team yards, just mentioned a few books, including Bet365, have this. So the Bucks have the fourth worst versus the pass and fourth, I can't speak, fourth best pass defense and a rubbish, I can't speak. I've lost it.
I know what you're saying.
We get where you're
Yes.
going.
We get where you're going with it. Take the under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around the ball a ton. I get it.
I like that Jaden Daniels over 40.5. I think he's going to run a lot this first game.
Okay. I would also say Jaden Daniels to throw an interception is a play worthy of, in every game.
Yep.
Rams and Lions here. I think all the numbers are pretty dialed in. I don't find any value in any of these. You guys find anything running backs in this game?
No, I was considering a Kyron Williams under. I find it very interesting how he's going to be returning punts now. And being on special teams. That just doesn't sit well with me, having your RB1 doing that. And we know the Lions had a good rush defense, and we know that we're expecting probably a shootout here. Is he really going to be running that much? So that's the one I would lean.
I think LA might have to, if LA doesn't stick to the run somewhat, that could be a real recipe for disaster for them in that game. I'm really curious to see how they manage this team going forward.
All right, we're going to go through the reception yards, and we'll get to some touchdown scores. Then we'll talk about the offensive, defensive lines. We'll do a same game parlay, best bets, all lines as well. Texans and Colts. I do like Pittman, 74.5. Downs all hurt. To me, that kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't know he was a favorite target of Richardson in preseason, but now he's out. I think Pittman is. We talk about bell cow running backs. Pittman's going to be the bell cow wide receiver for this team. But these Texans, I don't know, Corbin. It's tough to pick an actual receiver for Houston, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you can pick just one. I think you've got to just go for Stroud and just hope for the best, quite honestly. You can't pick and choose here because we know what Diggs is like if he doesn't get the receptions, and then Dell's going to feel left out, and then Collins is going to feel left out, and it's just going to be like, which one are they going to, quite honestly? So
yeah, I got nothing for receivers here. Patriots and Bengals. Even though I like Jacoby Brissett to go over his 200, that means some of these wide receivers got to go over. I don't know. Jalen Polk 29.5. Jim, again, it's just we're playing the number here. That's really low.
It's really low. It's really low, and you still have doubt whether to play it. Even when you look at all these numbers are in the cellar. All right, they're way low. I just don't know what in the world to do with them. I don't see the production. You could say Hunter Henry. Is Jacoby going to look for that tight end, little safety outlet there? So that interests me in this game. I don't think that Cincinnati's going to have to throw the ball all over the field, so that makes me out on the Cincinnati receivers. I'm still looking at these two running backs. I think, me being on Stevenson and Corbin being on Gibson, I'm still looking at those two. I think over on those two is the way to go.
Chase Brown over 14.5 has my attention. Zach Moss is not a big time receiver. They're going to bring in Chase Brown on some third downs and such. I could see him kind of sneakily getting over there, 3 catches, 20 yards, something like that. Cardinals and Bills. Corbin, this is an interesting game. You like anything here?
No, quite honestly.
You were on Trey McBride a lot last year.
I was, but then obviously the Cardinals have got Harrison now, so I don't know if that's going to affect how often he's going to. Because McBride was really the only one that was catching any kind of pass for the most part. Is that how much of that attention is going to go elsewhere? can't really go anywhere. That's why I'm just going to sit with the James Conner rushing. I can't get there with any receiving. So
that knocks 14.5 is criminally low, though. I know he hasn't had a lot of targets, but with Diggs being out of this offense, he could get that in one catch.
That's true.
One.
Yeah, they're going to.
You're talking one play.
That's true. That's true. It's a lot of with Gabe Davis and Diggs out. Somebody's going to have to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Titans and Bears. This is a gigantic yuck. Any of you have the onions to play any receiver props in Titans Bears?
No, sir.
DeAndre Hopkins is the only one I can get there. The injury concerns are the ones that I was looking at, but over what is it now, 44.5? He has a good reception with Levis. I'm expecting Levis to air it out, considering that I think the running backs are not great. He went over in 6 of 8 games with Levis, cleared it in the last 2 games of the season. The Bears have a good run defense, so I'm expecting them to pass. They didn't have a particularly good pass defense. So if Levis is throwing, I feel like it's going to have to go to DeAndre Hopkins, and that seems like a okay number to me. So,
all right. I won't be playing any of these. Jaguars and Dolphins. Here's a good fantasy football and props galore type of game, especially with receiving. So Corbin, any of these numbers you think good enough to play? Tyreek is already 96.5.
No,
crazy.
Amazing.
That's why we'll get to it. The same game parlay is me targeting the wide receivers pretty much here. I don't know what Waddle's longest reception is. That served me well last year. It's one of those you could probably play him and Tyreek Hill just blindly every week and you'll come out profitable by the end of the year. It worked last year. Tua just airs it out. Jags don't have a particularly good pass defense. So
23.5 is
perfect in the range. And Waddle, anything under 24, 25 is go time. So,
all right, let's move on to the Steelers and the Falcons. Is it what is this year 17 of this is Kyle Pitts' year?
It's this year, Andy. It's this year.
It's gonna be this year.
It's his best shot. It's his best shot yet. You gotta give it. You gotta say that.
It is true. It is his best one. How about this under on Pat Freiermuth?
You don't know what you're gonna get. I'm a huge Freiermuth guy, but I can't get over the fact that they're running him with third team and who's the quarterback.
Is it a smoke screen though? Does he come out?
It's right in that number with Freiermuth, where I don't think your return. If it was low 20s, I'd be much more interested. But when you start creeping up around 30, the ineptitude of this passing game, which it was last year with Pickett. And Mason Rudolph. I don't know if we're going to get a huge improvement. I expect Justin Fields to play at some point this year.
I think
it's going to be week 1. It's going to be this week.
Very well. I mean, is it confirmed yet? Do we even know? We don't, right?
It's looking more and more likely. I think when I was reading about it. So
when you're betting, we just hate these question marks, and so
that's why it's just to stay away.
Stay away. Yeah,
I'd be interested in Pickens. Honestly, I know he's a head case, but that's one play.
No, thank you.
He's going to do one play for 50 yards.
Yeah.
Well, then he's going under if he's only
one more
catch for 50 yards. Then he's not getting to 54.5. Then
he's the garbage time king. 5 minutes left. All of a sudden, he gets 2 catches for 20 yards.
I will say, before we move on, we haven't really mentioned it, but Bijan Robinson, 20. It's gone up slightly. I liked it more when it was 25.5. Now that 27.5 does seem a tad steep, but surely they're going to get him the ball more. Like, surely they have to. And
do they?
I feel like they have to, really, to have success.
Agree with you, but
I will say he's gone over this total in every game. He's had 4 or more receptions last year. So if they are, I feel like they're going to have to get him the ball more, particularly in the passing game. So
it's a tough defense, but he is good. It's just, new quarterback, new coaching staff, all that.
It's an ugly game.
Yeah, it really is. Panthers and Saints.
Speaking of ugly games.
Speaking of ugly games.
I got nothing here.
Rashid Shaheed, his longest reception was a good one because he's kind of like Pickens, where he has like one catch for 33
It's at
yards
18.5 yards. I already looked it up.
Okay, so you're with me
Okay.
Yeah.
on that one.
We had great success particularly the second half of the year last year with Shahid's longest. So
It was great. It was great. One target, one catch, 33 yards, and touchdown.
perfect.
It was perfect. Yeah. I've nothing else in this one. It's
Next.
kind of a wasteland. Vikings and Giants. Corbin. Well, we'll save Justin Jefferson
Yeah.
for a little bit later. I don't know. Devin Singletary, 11.5. Jim, that kind of feels a little low, right? That's one screen.
I think all of these running back numbers are low this week. Like
Okay.
I'm looking at the receiver props and I keep coming back to the running backs and there are a lot of them. Look, Aaron Jones, 14.5.
It's criminally low.
It's criminally low, right? It makes no sense. It's
That
2
one
dump
is.
off passes.
Yeah.
Same thing with Singletary. If he catches 3 passes, don't you think it's for 11.5 yards?
I love these.
You're not asking a lot.
I love these mid to low teens numbers on these running backs.
I think they're 5 to 7 yards lower than they should be across the board. Across the board.
I have a player I want to mention in that game. It's Darius Slayton over 22.5. He cleared this emphatically in his last 4 games of last season with 63, 90, 106, and 62. And you're telling me the number is now 22? Like who is he? Who's Jones going to be throwing to? I feel like Slayton's one of those guys again that can have one deep catch, and that's such a low total. I really like that play, quite honestly. I think that's under the radar pick. So
was DeVito throwing him the ball?
I don't care who was throwing him the ball.
Yeah, that was a hitter. Broncos and Seahawks. Boy, the books have already made the adjustment. I was hoping to get a good number on Jackson Smith and Jigba, but yeah, they've sucked all the value out of that one. Yeah, DK Metcalf is 61.5. I don't know. Tyler Lockett, he's just like steady, but I can't. They've got these numbers dialed in. I can't really find any value in this game. Do you like anything, Jim?
Revenge spot for Noah Fant, but I don't like the number.
The old revenge spot for Noah Fant. Classic.
That's all I came to on this whole game.
I get it.
Revenge spot there.
Corbin, Jacoby Myers, 39.5. Yes, please.
It's so tempting, but again, it's like one of those you don't quite know what's going to happen. That's why I like the Minshew passing over trying to work out where it's going to go. As I said, like the Adams at 67.5. If you told me like a year ago I could get Devontae Adams at that kind of number, it's like, and as I said, I feel like he had such a bad year last year. You see the clips where he comes off to the sideline. He's like, I'm risking my health for this and we're going nowhere. And it's like, you have to feel at some point they're going to have to try and make him happy to a degree here. And it's such a low total. I like Minshew. Chargers pass defense was awful last year. It's kind of one of those, would I rather pick a receiver or just go with Minshew? And I think the answer is Minshew at the minute. So
you want to talk about Brock Bowers for this, or you want me to? I got a little angle here on the tight ends.
All right, go ahead.
Michael Mayer, 16.5. Why is Brock Bowers at 33.5 when he's already somewhat injured? Thinking that Bowers is going to take away snaps from Myers means that you didn't watch the tape. They're not going to line up Bowers traditionally as a tight end. I think you're actually going to see both of these guys on the field, and you're going to see Mayer run the more traditional tight end routes. So 16.5 looks pretty low. That could be 2 reception. It's a question of the volume is going to go his way. And no bet for me officially, but I thought it was real interesting that they lined these 2 numbers when I looked at them yesterday.
You know me, I did a full video on Brock Bowers under 4.5 touchdowns for the season. Yeah, the rookie tight ends, man, it's not a great track record of big seasons. So Cowboys and Browns. Corbin, Brandon Cooks, we were playing unders when he was hurt last year, but I got to tell you, he started to get healthy, and then all of a sudden he started going overs. I mean, you're not going to get CeeDee Lamb's, this is going to be the lowest probably all year at 80.5. I don't know. I kind of like looking sometimes at these secondary, receivers. So Brandon Cooks, 38.5. I'm not going to play it just because they're on the road at the Browns. But that would be where I would be looking at in this one. Anything else jump off the page to you?
Not really. Ezekiel Elliott under 7.5. I don't see him particularly getting involved in the pass game, but it's one of those, the total is so low that you could just get there in 1 or 2. But Yeah, can't really get there with anything.
I kind of like Jerome Ford. He's a good pass catching running back. Like even when the Browns backfield is 100% healthy, he does get catches with no. I mean, he's going to be on the field a decent amount. So again, one of these running backs, it's going to be on the field. He's going to get the opportunity. 14 and a half seems a little low. Commanders and the Buccaneers. I kind of think this Mike Evans number is a touch low. Like CD Lamb's 80, Jefferson's 81, but Mike Evans is 69 and a half. Chalky, you don't need me to tell you that Mike Evans is probably going to have a good game, but against this secondary, Mike Evans healthy. I really, really like this one. And also Rashad White, 20 and a half. I mean, he's a great catcher out of the backfield, and Bucks love dumping it off to him. Corbin, you like anything else?
You kind of nailed it. Mike Evans is the obvious choice, but it's one of those. I think I would rather just stick with the Baker kind of aspect and try to pick what's going to happen with those. So,
McLaurin 61 and a half. Jim McLaurin.
It could be almost all there in one play.
Yeah. McLaurin is. I think when I was looking at stats, it was like this guy either goes under 40 yards or over 100.
Yes,
like he very rarely is in this. So he's going to obliterate this number, or he's going to break your heart. Okay.
Yeah, I want to wait and see approach as far as the receiver numbers with Daniels. See if he has a favorite target.
Can I go next? Because this next play is one of my favorite on the board. It very, very nearly made my best bet. And it's Cooper Kupp. I mentioned it before. The Lions have a good rush defense. So I'm expecting the Rams to throw it. I'm expecting that shootout potential. I think this is a huge comeback year for Cooper Kupp. He looks way fitter. He looks way stronger. I think this may be the lowest total we see on Kupp for the whole season. I think Nakua's going to have some regression. The interesting thing that I was trying to work out when I was looking into this, I don't know if we talk about it in most weeks, but yards or receptions with Cooper Kupp, because he gets so many of those kind of like short ones just to get him involved. And he went over this total in 4 of the last 5 games where he had 6+ receptions. It's kind of like, I don't know what his reception line is at the minute. I forgot what it was, but it's kind of one of those. I feel like I could play it either way, quite honestly. And I feel like you're about to get to it, but there's a huge same game parlay potential. If you can get Amon-Ra St. Brown at home,
heaven
works every time.
Ultimate same game parlay. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Corbin, but I'm just so excited about it.
Got so excited.
You can do Amon-Ra St. Brown
50 and
50, and then you can just add a bunch of these in. This is like, I love these Rams. I love the Rams wide receivers because, I mean, they're the only 2 guys. There's not a whole lot of options on there. So I got so excited about the same game parlay. Absolutely.
It's okay.
Absolutely. So, all right. So those are your skill position. Let's talk about this new. Real quick. So this is right up. All right. Where is it?
It's in touchdowns.
All right.
Right.
So
touchdowns.
And then right at the end.
They hit it all the way at the back of the website for everybody.
Yeah,
it's
really
sneaky.
Weird. So you guys know I love playing these things. Hockey, we had a massive hockey year simply by playing players to not have a point. All right, so now they have players to not score a touchdown, and Corbin is in love with this category. So who did you have circled as to not score a touchdown? This category.
So one's obviously already happened. It was Romeo Dobbs. I had him because we have so many wide receiver options that Dobbs just gets lost, and not a fan of him. But the 2 that I have circled at the minute are Kyle Pitts. I think I forgot one of them. I think is in the -400 range, but I don't see either of these catching it.
We might be getting news out of with the Steelers because that game appears to be off the board here. Who was the other one?
It was Pitts and Kittle for the 49ers.
Okay. Jim, you have thoughts on Kittle to not?
Yeah, look, I've been a Jets fan a long time, and it doesn't matter what defensive coordinator we have or scheme, we can't cover a tight end to save our lives. I don't know what it is. And we have a great cover linebacker. We just get burnt. I'd be a little worried about Kittle. We have fantastic cornerbacks. So I think that they're going to go to the middle of the field, and that's where the tight ends kind of tend to eat. And especially in that offense. I don't think it's going to be on the outsides with Ayuk and and Debo running, flag routes, they're going to be coming across the middle. And I've seen us get burnt many times by tight ends. I had to endure Rob Gronkowski with the Patriots. Just it's like you can't miss him. He's 6'8". He's right there. Just cover him.
I'll throw out Charbonnet with a healthy Kenneth Walker at this point. I'll absolutely throw out Miles Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a good one.
They'll absolutely play that one. And then I don't know, it's Titans and Bears. Give me a Titan to not score. I just we just got done talking about how bad Pollard was around the goal line. Do you think he's improved enough to
No.
score against the Bears? I would say no. So, all right, players.
I love
not
this market. I feel like as the weeks go on, this is something that we can fine tune and find some real value in. Maybe not week 1, but I feel like as we go on, we'll be able to start getting some value on some people. So,
all right, love it, great stuff. All right, guys, getting here towards our best bets here. So, Corbin, let's start with your alternate universe here.
yes.
Corbin is fantastic at this, finding value in these alt lines. They're not necessarily teasers, but walk us through who you found here in week 1 here.
Yeah, so basically what I like to do with the alternate universe and all these alt plays is I like to find teams that I think are going to win, and then just to cover, basically, or just bringing it down slightly. So I don't like teasers that give you a certain number. I like them perfectly where they are, normally at 7.5, like kind of those key kind of point areas. So the first one is Bengals -1. I think we all think the Patriots are going to be really terrible this year. I don't care if Chase is out there or not, quite honestly. And their biggest strength was the defense last year. But obviously, with no Belichick, there's no guarantee that their defense is suddenly going to be just as good. I see regression coming in. The only slight worry, obviously, is the new coaches, maybe some surprise factors. But I think Chase plays, and I think they have a field day, quite honestly. Obviously, Bengals at home as well, huge advantage. So bring that down to -1. They basically just have to win. Texans +7.5. I love the Texans this year. I've mentioned it so much. I think they win this game. They won the second meeting by 4 last year. The Colts are a different team with Richardson, but again, he's been out for a while. It might be some rust, might take him some time to adapt. I think there could be some teething problems. The Texans are hugely improved in offense and with defense as well. The defense changes are going underlooked. I think it's a lot. The Texans also had lots of 1-score games last year. If they lose, I can't see the Colts winning by more than 1 score. So that's the thinking behind that. And then the Dolphins +7.5. This is probably my favorite piece. I have this personally with quite a few things. Miami just so good at home. They lost by 1 to the Titans in that shock defeat. They lost by 7 to the Bills in the last game of the season, and that's it. I just think they have so much offense. I think the improvements are good. I also just don't rate the Jaguars. I think they are way overvalued every time, and there is no way in my mind the Dolphins are going to lose by more than 1 score week 1 at home to this Jags team. So wrap that all together, and I think you get -132 if I remember.
Yeah, and this is an official client play. It's available on Wager Talk. You can get all of our official plays that we give out to clients and all access. It's available, and it includes all plays all throughout today. Also for tomorrow's game, it's got some futures in there as well, so you can grab that wt.buzz/al. We're up 151 units, all sports this year. Since
crushing
June.
it.
Yeah, talked about the dog days of summer, and 108 units since June 1st. So we're looking very, very good in that. So grab that pack up at Wager Talk. This is a new segment. Jim, let's do Inside the Trenches. This is where you talk about the offensive, defensive lines. I feel like there's not a lot of content out there, and this is where the action happens. So introduce us to the segment, and let's just focus on 3 teams here.
So what we're going to do each week is we're going to take a look at 2 to 3 teams and just do a write-up. Obviously, throughout the year, injuries are going to happen. Some of these offensive lines are going to just be absolutely ransacked by week 8. We saw it last year. We made a killing off of the Giants' offensive line last year when they just got destroyed. And I'm going to start with the Giants again this year. They are not improved at all. At all. It is the same unit, except they're already injured. They're already beat up. Evan Neal now isn't even a starter. So the guy you were leaning on to be your anchor is not going to be a starter. He's going to be a backup. They have old John Runyon there. He's not impressive. Andrew Thomas, is he going to stay healthy? I just think this offensive line is so beat up. Greg Van Rotten is a backup offensive lineman. He's a starter. They're just not good. They're not an NFL offensive line. And with Daniel Jones running for his life back there, I think we're going to make a ton of money. They are improved on the defensive line, but we don't know how that's going to hold up with that bad secondary. So I know this is why we want to do this segment, because we have a great defensive line put together in New York, but a absolutely garbage secondary. So as far as sack props goes, defensive props, it's going to be a little iffy at first with the Giants. Then moving on to the Patriots, I think this is the worst offensive line, even worse than the Giants. They are beat up so bad coming out of training camp. It is ridiculous. We're talking third string and fourth string players that are actually playing. If they get an injury, they will be looking to play a player that was sitting on his couch a week ago. Okay? They're beat up on the inside. They don't have depth. David Andrews is the only rock-solid piece on this offensive line right in the center. And that doesn't help you with pass rushers anymore. You got to have good tackles. Defensively, they lose Matt Judon, so they lose their all-star rusher. I don't know what we're going to get out of this defense. So I think the Patriots are a sell, man. Their offensive line is going to be bad. And if there's an injury live in game, you want to watch for that, because it could throw the whole game plan out the window. Now, let's go to the Lions, who I believe have the best offensive line in the league. They've shown it year in, year out. You want to take players to not have sacks against these guys. Penny Sewell is rock solid. He is just a monster. They have depth across the line. Goff is able to stay upright and just pick people apart. So really, when it comes to the Lions, I think you have to look at unders on defensive stats. These guys are road graders. They will make a hole. And we've seen both of those running backs just have field days behind them. So that's our three offensive lines to talk about to start the year. And we'll see what kind of injuries have, and stay up on this, because it really is going to affect the rest of the player props throughout the league.
Great stuff. So we're looking at guys to not have sacks against the Lions, and then guys to have sacks against the Patriots and the Giants to start off the year. So good stuff. It's really, really important to know who's got really good offense and defensive lines. Really, really makes a difference. So, all right, let's do a same game parlay here, Corbin.
Yes.
You chose this game. 1A,
Oh.
1B with that Rams and
I
Lions.
I could have a play in each of them, quite honestly, just like you showed. But this is such an old, trusted, tried and tested method, this one. So obviously we have Tyreek Hill, 60 plus receiving yards and 5 plus receptions. He hit in 13 games last year. I don't need to tell any of you guys on Tyreek Hill. It's just speed. I'm not sure who's going to guard him. He's fit and healthy. He's probably going to go after the receiving record again this year. And the Jags have a really, really bad passing defense. So I don't need to talk about that one anymore. But Evan Ingram, 3 plus receptions. This is the sneaky one for me. I really love this. We know he has such a good relationship with Trevor Lawrence. He hit it in every single game last year, and he had four minimum every single game. Expect them to be playing from behind or at least a shootout. I don't see a world where they're ahead. I think they're just going to go to Evan Ingram, quite honestly. And then A-Chain, 25 plus alt rushing yards. So the games he actually played, so I'm not counting the 2 where he only had like 1 or 2 rushing yards. He hit it in every game except 1, and the one he didn't, he got 24. We talked about Raheem Mostert aging. I think they're going to be playing from ahead. He has so much speed that he's so good that he could get this in 2 or 3 carries at times, particularly at the end of the game when they're selling out, trying to run the ball more and kill the clock. So I'm going to wrap all 4 of those pieces up for -145. So
that Evan Ingram was just golden.
Love
Every
it.
single game, Evan Ingram would catch those. It was just such an
Hoping for
underrated
another year of that.
parlay piece. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So we joking. We have our departments. Corbin is head of the tennis department. I'm head of the golf department. Jim is head of the sack department. So we talked about some offensive lines. So now let's talk about some actual defensive play. So Jim, walk us through these two guys.
So, like I said earlier, Boye Mafe on Seattle came out of nowhere last year. About a couple weeks into the season, I think it was about 6 weeks in, this guy went on a heck of a run. I think he went 6 weeks in a row with a sack, and they were lining him at under half a sack, which he is right now. I expect a big improvement from this defense with a different scheme. He's going to be playing rush linebacker, stand-up linebacker, which means now we can move him all over the place. He's going to have those 2 steps before the offensive tackle gets his hands on him. And I think this kid athletically is super gifted. He most certainly is their premier pass rusher. The D's coordinator is going to try to get him in situations. He's the guy. So to get plus money on a half a sack, I will gladly take it. They're going up against a rookie quarterback who's going to scramble, who's not going to realize the speed of the NFL. This is still different than preseason. You know, guys aren't running as hard in preseason as they are week 1. And all of a sudden, these defenders are going to catch up quicker. So I can see Mafe chasing him down and getting him behind the line. Next one, here's Danielle Hunter. We all love the Texans. And everybody's talking about the offense on the Texans. I think this is becoming, as we get closer to the season, one of the most underrated signings in free agency. I mean, you had a guy with 16 and a half sacks last season on a defense who had nobody and no help. And now you're going to drop him opposite Will Anderson on a team that's going to be playing with a lead, who's going to have a quarterback with a good Achilles and going to be able to run an offense. Like, all the stars are lining up for Danielle Hunter to have a really, really big year. I was pretty shocked to see this at under a half a sack and not a full sack to start the season. I think he could get one. Richardson, with his mobility, he's going to extend plays and give Hunter a chance to get there. Hunter and Will Anderson are going to benefit huge from having somebody on the opposite side of that line to play with this year. So 2 plays that I think we can get on week 1. Not official plays going out to clients, but ones I like.
All right, great work from the sack department. We're going to get to our best bets. So let's do some. We didn't talk about this. I forgot to add it. You would do survivor picks, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So post in the comments who you guys like in your survivor pool. I'm guessing it's gonna be a lot of Bengals, but I'm interested who you guys have. A lot of ways to attack this week, but I got to tell you, the spreads are so weird because there's not too many big ones. A lot of these spreads are like field goals and such. So, Jim, I'll let you go first. Who you want?
So we're doing spreads, right? Not just money lines?
Nope, just money line. So
just money lines.
Just
Okay,
your
good.
basic survivor.
I feel like we're all going to end up with the same pick here.
I'm going to take the Vikings to start off. I'm going to use up the Vikings.
I like it. All right. Vikings.
That's a good shout.
You guys can have fun for the rest of the season. I'll be out next week. Just like last year.
Well, I'm gonna say the obvious. I'm taking the Bengals.
Taking the Bengals.
All right.
Okay. I will. Man, who's a team that I think stinks? I'm with you, Jim, that the Vikings are pretty good. You know who I don't think is very good right now is I don't think the Cardinals are very good. So I'll take the Bills to start off with. So there we go. There's our first survivor picks. This could absolutely be one of us doing it next week. So
this week for Corbin's survivor pick, only one left. Who do you have, Corbin?
This quickly could be a 10-second segment next week. So, all right, we're going to get to our best bets here. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, do that. And don't forget, all of our official plays are up at Wager Talk. You can get all of NFL Week 1 plays that include Sunday night, Monday Night Football, wt.buzz/AL. No reason to not jump on board. We had a big night in MMA last night, and we're up 151 units for the year. Very consistently building bankrolls for everybody. So, all right, I'll go first. My best bet for this week is Baker Mayfield over 1.5 touchdown passes. I've talked about this one all week. It is my favorite play. This is a Washington secondary that got absolutely torched last year, and they have not made any improvements. I'm really focusing on fading some of these bad secondaries. The Giants, the Commanders, and the Colts. These are all secondaries that could easily be exploited. Baker was sneaky good, did this in 12 games last year, and this is a Washington team that allowed over 1.5 touchdowns in 13 games. This could absolutely be a shootout. Baker's got all of his weapons that are healthy, healthy Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White. And don't forget, Rashad White caught 3 touchdown passes, only rushed for 6. This isn't a team that blasts the ball. This isn't like the Ravens with Derrick Henry trying to blast the ball into the end zone. This is a team that throws it a lot. So Baker Mayfield over 1.5 touchdown passes is my best bet. Jim, going to the sack prop. Who you like?
Christian Wilkins on the Raiders. So just got announced, I believe, yesterday. Malcolm Kuntz is on IR. So now we have Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins. And that's it. That's all we got. Okay, so that's what the Raiders are going to have to go with here. This guy has been at the facility before everybody else the entire offseason with Crosby. They have worked hand in hand together. Crosby knows he needs this guy to have a year. He cannot be taking on double teams every single play. They're going up against the Chargers with Justin Herbert, who has had plantar fasciitis. I have had plantar fasciitis. It does not get better in 3 weeks, just like they said. It lingers all year. So I don't believe that we're going to see a fully mobile Herbert here. I think the Raiders are coming into this a little underrated. I know the hype with Harbaugh. This is a great number, plus 185 to get a half a sack. So if Crosby hits him first and Wilkins falls on him, it's a cash. He doesn't have to get there all by himself. I think it's a great number. I see both of these guys getting home against Herbert. So, yeah, give me the plus 185 for half a sack.
Corbin, like Justin Jefferson, can't go wrong on this one. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I love the spot here for him. So obviously the Giants are just not very good. They're not good against the pass. Their secondary is shocking. And Justin Jefferson had a down year by his standards last year, partly due to the injuries and the quarterbacks that he had. So I'm expecting a huge comeback year out of him. Same way that I mentioned for Devontae Adams, but they're gonna want to keep him happy. There's no point your star player getting unhappy, so they're gonna still get him the targets. They're still gonna try and get him his yards, and this is a really low total for him. I think he's gonna soar over 100. Quite honestly, this is a winnable game for them, so that I don't see there's no reason for him to rest at the end. Darnold starting, I think they're gonna, as I said, I think they're gonna want to build up his confidence. Perfect team to start it at. Throw it to Justin Jefferson. Get all the players singing from the same hymn sheet. He's the number one weapon by far, and he went over in 3 of the last 4 to end the season. The only one he didn't was against the Packers, where I've mentioned before that Jair Alexander normally has good success at home versus him. So I'm going to take Justin Jefferson over 81.5 yards. I think this total is extremely low.
Love it. There's your 3 best bets for today's show. Baker Mayfield over touchdown, over 1.5. Christian Wilkins over quarter of a sack. So he just needs to get half sack. And Justin Jefferson over 81.5 receiving yards. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Couple questions here real quick. Jim, we wanted to know about Micah Parsons, sack prop. Brown's 3rd string left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Micah Parsons? I was kind of surprised. He doesn't quite get as many sacks as you would think.
He doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't. That's the thing. And he's always lined as a full sack. So we've been down this road. Yeah, you could. I tend to try to stay away from the big name guys unless I really see a massive advantage. I mean, they also move Parsons around so much. It's not like he's just going to line up against the backup every single play. I don't think we're going to see the strategy that Kansas City did with Chris Jones, where they let him pick and choose. Parsons can't go to the inside and play D tackle. So he's going to have to kind of be stuck on the outside. So I would wait and see what Parsons. And I don't think the number's that great either, though, right? Do we happen to post the number?
Yeah, you're always paying a premium price.
Yeah, so I really try to not lay minus 175 or higher unless it's a real obvious one.
So that one's a pass. And then Javonte Williams receptions 2.5 seems too low. It could be. It could be one of those where if he's out there the whole time, yeah, he just falls into 3. But I get the feeling they like McLaughlin a lot. And with Sean Payton, God, they just he even will tell you oh yeah, we just, rotate roles and whoever's going to be, we're going to get the most attention. I find Sean Payton running backs really, really tough to try and figure out. So 2.5, it feels like about right. I'm not sure if there's going to get value one way or the other. So that one would kind of be a pass for me. Not the most sexy answer in the world, but that's it. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Remember, practice good, bankroll management. If you
Yes.
are terrified about how many bets you have today, you have too many. If you are terrified about how much
Mhm.
money you have too much money on some of these bets. We always want to make sure we protect those bankrolls, especially if you followed our UFC plays last night. You're up. You're having a really, really good weekend. So let's make sure we're cautious and make sure we're playing plays that we really, really believe in and we find good value, not just plays on our favorite team or things like that. It's too important. We work too hard for our bankroll to blow it on NFL Week 1. So let's have a great week. Leave in the comment section your survivor pick. Always love seeing those. Leave us your best bet, whether it's prop, spread, whatever. We always like seeing those. So good luck on your place, and we will see everyone later.
Good luck.
Guys.